Hello, everyone. Yeah, like I said, I just wanted to do more on the timeline of events thing. Because, yeah, I've got all the slides that I didn't have last week that I thought I had. And, yeah, so we just talk more about that. Yeah, we're just going to let the chat really lead where we go with this, what you wanted to talk about. People have been talking a lot about William Garretson, weirdly enough, in my group. So there's enough for a whole stream on him. He's to do with Cielo Drive, obviously. He's the guy that lived in the guest house and was the initial first suspect because he was the only survivor, wasn't he? Yeah, with DiCarlo. Just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Short he was. God. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, DiCarlo was the uh, uh, informant, wasn't he? The real one. And Charlie knew that they killed the wrong person, apparently, because he said it to Nicholas. In the end, yeah, he realised he wasn't. But also, Shorty just didn't like him and he was going to try and run him off the ranch, apparently. So that might be another reason that they did that. To Shorty. Because, yeah, that's the other motive, isn't it? She's Squeaky's supposed to have overheard him talking to that Frank Rhett's matey, and he had tried to hire him to throw them off the ranch. So that was another reason, maybe, that they did it. So have we got here today then? We got Paul. Linda, hello Linda. Mike's here, she's on. I saw Capone as well. Megazorlak as well. Barb McCain. So yeah, what did people want to talk about really? So I could talk about any of these things. I got the slides for Barker Ranch, the Barker Ranch raid, and the Bernard Crowe one. That was the ones I wanted to show. So that's another one where we found the real photo of Rosina and that there was a fake photo of her. So that's interesting. Yeah, that's Rosina. Somewhere further along, yeah, I have a slide, yeah, with because yeah, this picture got shared on a Reddit thread. That's where everyone got it from, and they just said that this was Rosina Kroner, but it's not her. It's just some random woman called Janet. Someone reversed image searched the picture and found, the article where they'd shown the pictures of this woman, and the real Rosina, yeah, looks like that. And Manson blog found a video of her as well. There's a video of her, quite recent one. So she's presumably still alive. Well, she was then at least. Yeah, the belladonna trip. Well, in his psychiatry report, they blame that. They say that it brain damaged him, yeah, and that he was, yeah. That's why he was the only one that pled insanity, because they said he was damaged really badly. But it was a combination of all the drugs he did as well. He did loads of other drugs. He talks about how many other drugs he was doing the whole time. Yeah, that's it. Well, no one's ever found out who she really was. It's just, I think someone just found a photo album of this woman. No one knows who she is. So I don't know if she's even still alive, yeah. There's just this random woman. She's always on her own in the pictures. People think she might have had a timer on the camera and she was just taking pictures of herself, in all these places. Or there was one person with her that was taking the photos, but was never in the photos. But yeah, no one knows anything about who she was. I'll have to find the page on her. It was weird. But yeah, it's just a random woman. That isn't Rosina. But loads of people thought that was a picture of what Rosina looked like, but it isn't her. I'm a cat. I've not seen you before, I don't think. What else is on these slides? Oh yeah, this is where he talks about Rosina. He doesn't name her, but he talks about living with a woman who's a drug dealer. Yeah, and it was text that bumped her, basically. Oh yeah, and there was the I wanted to find his quote. What did awareness through fear is where it's at. And then he stole his mate's shirt. This was just after he shot Bernard Shaw. That was what Charlie said, apparently. Found a short video of Rosina Kroner on YouTube. Short video about Bodega Bay Weather. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, it was Yeah, are you the person from Manson blog? Yeah, yeah, because yeah, it's that's where we found it. Yeah, that was just a weird coincidence as well, wasn't it? Because it's nothing to do with the case at all. She's just talking about some local issue with the water or something, isn't she? But it's definitely her because we found quite a lot of pictures of her, haven't we? As well now there are more pictures of her. Yes, this isn't the only one. This is just the first one we had, so it's what I used in the slides. But they're actually, and she won a some kind of beauty contest or whatever, Miss whatever state or district or whatever. But yeah, there was a few times she was interviewed in newspapers for other reasons. Yeah, I don't know exactly what her game was, but yeah, text describes her just as a drug dealer. And Bernard Crowe was her friend that she got in to, because yeah, he scammed him by saying he didn't have enough money to buy the amount the dealer would sell him. So did they want to put the money in for the rest of it because they only wanted a small amount, and then he just ran off with the money. Yeah, yeah, her name's actually under it. I've cropped it. The name is on it, and there's other. They found other pictures from around the time and sort of after. No one knows where she went or anything else like that. Yeah, and apparently, TLB Radio interviewed her, didn't they? But they didn't really ask her any hard questions. So they didn't push her very hard. But yeah, I think I've had that interview because he takes everything down, doesn't he? It's really hard to find this stuff. Yeah, so I've got the slides for all the things now. Gary Hinman as well. Though there weren't many slides for that because that was mainly I just read stuff out, wasn't it? Because yeah, a lot of the things that the streams it actually revolved around me reading something out from a website or whatever as well. Yeah, what when he interviewed Rosina, yeah, at TLB Radio. It is a shame when people do get to interview these people and they don't ask them any hard questions. They just let them get away with not talking. Yeah, because I found that's on archive.org, the interview with William Garrettson, where he says about Sharon Tate. Yeah, he saw a guy holding a baby the morning after as well. It wasn't a third. It looked like some kind of deformity that looked like an eye. Yeah, so like a three-eyed baby and all that sort of shit. Yeah, that interview is on archive.org. I listened to it, and we found his court testimony and all that as well. And his lie detector test, yeah, because apparently he contradicts himself. Yeah, so I might do a stream about him in the future because there's enough for a whole stream on that. Yeah, yeah. Well, giving her an LSD laced cigarette. Yeah, yeah. Like I say, I was relying on you to say what did you want to say. What do you want me to talk about, really? So could we talk about any other things? Because yeah, the whole point of understanding all the events is, it's there was like a gradual descent. Things got worse and worse before Cielo Drive and the lobby anchors sort of thing. You have to understand all of these things, and you'll find it easier to believe that it was actually not the motive that they said it was. And no, it can cause brain damage. What it does, yeah, it's at very low doses as well. It can kill you. A lot of people die if you overdose on it. It is really, really toxic. And he's supposed to have taken it more after this overdose of it as well. And he also got well, he was really badly poisoned with it, and he describes all the symptoms of an overdose of it while he was in a jail cell, and a doctor looked at him as well and didn't do anything about it. They just stitched his eyebrow up because the other guys beat him up. But yeah, and there was other drugs as well. In his psychiatry report, he talks about all the other drugs he did, and he liked speed basically. All the pills he describes mainly as stimulants. He liked stimulants, and he didn't like downers. It's what he talks about with the drugs and weed. He did a lot of weed and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, speed makes you very nasty, doesn't it? If you've got a nasty personality anyway, which I think he did. But yeah, it's definitely bad enough to. It could be bad enough taking an overdose of it. It's lucky he didn't just die. A lot of people die taking. Because they call it Datura now. If you look up Datura, the plant he took, and that is one of the botanical names for it. It was actually Jimson weed. It wasn't belladonna that he took. It was Jimson weed. Yeah, like I say, I'll have to do another stream on that, on his belladonna trip, because there was a lot more said about it by a few different psychiatrists. Because people talk about it. Said that people think he was on the belladonna the night he died. The night he died, the night they did the Cielo Drive, basically. So yeah, but I doubt that, to be honest, because of the how messed up it makes you. It's not like a psychedelic. It's not like taking acid or magic mushrooms or something like that. It's like it really, really messes you up. I don't think he'd have been able to like know what he was doing and see what he was doing well enough to do what he did, because it was very precise, wasn't it? How they, but it wasn't. It was done in a messy way. But you know what I mean. He very efficiently stabbed those people to death, didn't he? I don't think that he could have been on the Jimson Weed on the night of Cielo Drive. Leslie said in court the first time she thought he'd taken STP. She heard he'd taken STP, which is a mixture of speed and LSD, from what I could fathom, and that's mentioned in Mama Cass's biography as well. Dave Cosby does it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember much, but they were right after. Yeah, it depends, because apparently some parts of the plant, some plants are stronger than others, so it depends. You can just be really unlucky and get a really strong plant. That's the dangerous thing about it. It's really hard to dose yourself because it's really unpredictable how strong parts of the plant are going to be. So you can get unlucky and get one that's really, really strong. But yeah, when I was researching the plant, there's loads of websites about controlling of Jimson weed, because it kills horses. If you have land and you have horses on it and they eat the Jimson weed, it can kill them. It's like really dangerous. Yeah, that's it, and that's the other weird thing about it as well. That's where they got the drug scopolamine, which was one of the drugs that the CIA experimented with. That's it. The devil's berry as well. Yeah, probably. They called Jimson weed the devil's trumpet as well, because of the trumpet-shaped flowers. And the devil's lettuce, that made me laugh, because he's supposed to have said, "On the devil is the devil's business," and he ate the devil's lettuce. Yeah, yeah. Again, when I was researching atropine, they said kids had died. Young children had died accidentally drinking eye drops. Yeah, because of atropine in it. Yeah, that's it. Taking Datura is, it's like Russian roulette, because you don't know. There's no way of predicting how strong the bits are going to be. It's not like other plants where the leaves or the stem or the root is going to be stronger or whatever. It's just really unpredictable. And he ate a big chunk of the root. Apparently, they just cooked the root, and he just ate a huge thing. No, I haven't. I'll have to look it up. They're doing murals. Well, that's the prisoners, is it? Part of their art programs or whatever. The yam is pretty much a weird variety of potato in it, yeah. And that figures, yeah, because it would have tubey roots, so it would be similar to it. Would taste like it. Yeah, apparently it does grow in the area. I know from people that live around there. They've said they've seen it. Yeah, it actually grows. I saw some on the way to work at the school I used to work at. It was just growing in the ground. It grows all over the world. Hope the kids over here just never work out what it is. Yeah, like I say, look up Datura trips. That's the exact plant that they're taking, and that's what the kids call it now. Yeah, it's still there. It's like a weed. It just grows wild. Yeah, and apparently it kills horses if they eat it, because there's the whole website is dedicated to how to control it on your land. Hello, Bogues. Is that how you say it? Bogues? I assume so. Yeah, it probably does spread a lot as well. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm sure he does say in his psychiatry report that he took it again as well. He took it more than once. But he doesn't say he took it on the night of Silo Drive. They do admit that they took speed. Him and Susan were taking speed, but he doesn't say he took any other drugs that night. Leslie says she heard he'd taken STP, and that would have helped to make him go as nuts as he did, I suppose. So that's speed and LSD at the same time. But yeah, I don't know if that's true though, for sure. Sorry, just looking at the chat, waiting for people to say what they want to talk about. Right? Yeah, but the William Garrettson stuff, that's interesting. And also, yeah, I've got to do another Leslie stream because I found I've read her book, the long journey, the prison journey of Leslie Van Houten, and yeah, that tells you more about her trials because it's quite hard to find. The trial transcripts are incomplete, and because she actually had three in the end, she obviously that was the first one, and then she had one that ended in a mistrial, and then she got a hung jury. Sorry, and then she has another one. When has he claimed that he took it? Because he didn't say it in his psychiatry report. He might have said later, but he didn't say it to the shrinks that he took it that night. Yeah, I don't know about that. I've heard they all took at least one speed pill from various sources, but the only ones I know for sure or who admitted they took speed was Susan and uh, Tex, obviously. And Linda was a speed freak as well. There's loads of evidence she was, so I bet she was on. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what the film Jacob's Ladder is supposed to be all about, isn't it? Yeah, that they're supposed to have done an experimental drug out there, but I've never found any sort of documentation of that at all. So that must just be they were definitely doing stuff out there, but I think it was more studying the effects of trauma, and that's the sick thing. They just were studying the effects that all the horrible stuff had on the men. It wasn't necessarily testing drugs on them. Yeah, this is another one. This is another weird one about Bobby, because Bobby was arrested asleep in the truck he stole from the guy who he killed with the knife. People have said that seems weird, and did someone stitch him up? But I think he was just stupid, weren't he? And why did he keep the car of the person that he killed as well? Why was he driving around in it with the murder weapon? It's like he wanted to get caught in it. And it shows they weren't professional killers as well, done it, because people suggest they're hired or the CIA used them or whatever. But they didn't do a very good job, a very professional job, did they? Yeah. I wonder if the rope was already there, to be honest, because Jay Sebring had a reputation for liking tying people up and hanging himself, didn't he, at parties, basically. Yeah. So, like, I wonder if because that he would never admit who was carrying the rope. But yeah, it is just about culpability, isn't it, as well? So yeah, he wouldn't. Yeah, because he never gives a straight answer about who was carrying the wire cutters as well, because they're supposed to have bought wire cutters and the rope, aren't they? But no one's going to admit to anything, are they? Really? Yeah. Yeah, maybe he'd sober up. But I can imagine he takes speed. In his psychiatry report, he talks about speed a lot. He loves speed. Yeah, I don't think anyone does actually know for sure. I assumed it would be Tex because he was the one that she was with the most, but who knows? Yeah, that's it. The house rape. Joe Sebring always had one with him. Yeah, speed kills. Yeah, and did you see I've shared it in my group, but I found on archive.org that video with Roger Smith who's in it, and there's footage of that mouse utopia experiment he did with the mice on speed as well. There's a little tiny bit of footage of that, and an interview with Roger Smith. and that it's all about speed. And yeah, the dangers of speed. It looks like it was probably a film that was shown to doctors about, how to deal with people with speed psychosis or whatever. And it's interesting because it shows how much they knew about how bad for you speed was at this point. And it's really controversial because doctors were still prescribing it really, really broadly as well. So it's quite bad. That they obviously knew how bad it was. But pharmaceutical companies were making too much money, so they didn't care. Oh, Linda. She must have been really, really early along. Or did she even know she was pregnant? I don't know. So I don't think anyone knew she was pregnant at the time, did they? Because yeah, I haven't read a lot of his parole hearings. I have to read and listen more because you get psychiatric assessments of them as well. And once they remove the death penalty, yeah, I'm hoping that they might make some the what is it, the two room that's remaining in it as Tex and Krenwinkel, that they'll make deathbed confessions and say that the motive was about drugs. Because Susan tried, didn't she? She did write a book alluding to it being about drugs, really. Like the baby must have been conceived in early June. Because do you know when did she have the baby? Yeah, she can work it out. And then roughly 9 months before it. So what? In early June, so she'd have been. So that's before she gets to the ranch, then, isn't it? Because she arrived just after Bernard Crowe, didn't she? So no, it wasn't any of theirs then. It was someone else's. Maybe it was her original husband's then, Kasabian. Yeah, no, so it probably isn't Texas. Yeah, so I worried about that. I wondered about that. Didn't worry, wondered. Yeah, I've heard this as well. That yeah, she'd met them at Harold True's. Did she meet Bobby in June? Maybe. Yeah, because but when did she leave? When exactly did she leave him? Was it wasn't it just it was just sort of really just before though, wasn't it? So probably yeah, probably was still her husband's, wasn't it? Maybe. Who knows though? Who she was sleeping with? Yeah, yeah, Bobby did, and Kitty. Yeah, and Sandy. Yeah, Sandy had his baby and Kitty. And Linda, you think that it is Bobby's baby? I don't know. No, I think it's probably her husband's because yeah, I didn't realize yeah, but you can work it out from when the baby was born roughly, as long as the baby wasn't born early. Yeah, obviously a busy man. Yeah. Yeah, he managed to conceive a lot of kids in the short time he was free, didn't he? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what slides I had for the Gary Hinman thing actually, because that was mainly I just read stuff out. Yeah, it's just like the biography of him from Chile Drive. And this is from his autopsy report. Yeah, the Buddhist that he was going to go. This is where he was going to go on holiday and what he was going to spend his money on. Or he had already spent the money on. I think they must have heard about him getting the money to buy the tickets to go on this retreat. And they thought he still had the money, but he'd already spent it on the tickets. He didn't have the money. And yeah, the monks found him in the end. Well, I don't know if they were monks, but yeah, people from the Shoshu, Nichiren Shoshu. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Sorry if I butchered that. Found him, and he was decaying by then as well. It was horrible. It took a few days to find his body. And so when Bobby went back, he could hear the maggots eating him. Horrible. Yeah, because he went back later and tried to scrub the writing off the wall, didn't he? Apparently. Yeah, that's it. So many girls pregnant at one time, and no job to support them. And Kitty was really young as well, wasn't she? 4 of the girls pregnant, so there's another one who's just not a well-known girl. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, if he had just been allowed to carry on, there'd just be hundreds of them, wouldn't there? Yeah, yeah. The FBI was bugging the Buddhist HQ. There's loads of different types of Buddhists, though, isn't there? So, which Buddhist HQ? Yeah, yeah. I heard she was like, yeah, about 16, which is illegal in California, isn't it? I think. No, if he did meet her in June, possibly he was obviously very fertile, wasn't he? He got everyone pregnant. But yeah, I suspect it was probably just her husband still. Yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah, I found it weird that there was wounds on his head. But that yeah, people were saying that's just from when he got beat before they killed him. Because there was a fight between him and Bobby, weren't there? They wrestled over a gun or something. He got beat with the gun, maybe. Yeah, he had extra wounds on his head as well. Yeah, and then I read out that chapter, and I've done a clip of that as well. If you just want to listen to what it says in the Manson part about Bobby and that. He was popular with men as well, wasn't he? That was the thing. I don't know if Folger, I don't think it was quite as severe, yeah. Let's have a look again. It's not very big. No, it was up near his ear, wasn't it, the wound? Yeah, and it doesn't go right through, yeah, because I remember, yeah, in the what's it language that they use, the medical language, it does say it doesn't penetrate right through. Yeah, it's not as serious as the wound to Abigail's face. That had gone right through her face, isn't it? Yeah, that's the other thing. He was cute looking. Yeah, that's it. Well, they think that maybe if he hadn't fallen out with Kenneth Anger and stole his car and run off, it wouldn't have happened. It might not have happened. I think the Bernard Crowe thing was what set it all off, really, though. The whole sequence of events, really. Yeah, that might be another reason why they slashed so many people's faces, because Rosemary LaBianca as well had a cut on her face. So they were trying to make it look like someone was still alive, weren't they, to free Bobby. And Susan was worried he was going to implicate her in the murder of Hinman, though. It wasn't just out of love of Bobby that she did it. It was because she wanted to try and get money for a lawyer for Bobby so he wouldn't rat her out. Yeah, there was a cut on her face, I think. Let me see. I should have the slides for that as well. Because, yeah, we were looking at it. We looked at it again, and it turns out Sharon. It doesn't say Sharon's face was slashed. I was sure it said that her face was slashed, but it actually wasn't. It is a rape burn on her face. I thought that there was a wound on her face, but actually, if you look at her autopsy report, there is no wound on her face. It is just a rape burn. But Courtney was saying, is Courtney here? I haven't seen Courtney tonight. She's saying there's parts missing of her autopsy report, and I think her autopsy report is lacking as well. I think it brings us to delineate those injuries. Yeah, the wound's down low on her face. So here, let me get everything off the screen. Down by her chin there. She was cut on the face. Yeah, it does look like a rape burn in the photos, but I thought it was smeared blood from a wound as well. But apparently there wasn't actually a slash on her face. It does say, yeah, in the summary of wounds, there's not a slash mark on her face. It's all to her arms and the back of her leg and her chest, isn't it? So that sort of, because people said it was weird that he slashed all the women's faces, but he didn't slash Sharon's. And the rape burn probably occurred accidentally. They probably didn't deliberately do that, did they? It was just part of when they were dragging her around. Maybe the rope got around her face. Courtney mentioned it earlier. There's missing parts of her autopsy report. Yeah, he does. His face is really, really beat up. If you find the photos where they've turned him over, because there's the initial photo of how he was found, isn't there? And then there's the other one when they've turned him over, so you can see his face, and it does look like he was beat up really badly. Yeah. Yeah, there's a separate thing. There's a separate page for her face, isn't there? I've got that slide, all those slides as well. I think I'll take some of these slides in. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, see, there's the M picture to demonstrate the wound on her face because it's so big. Well, there's more wounds on her face as well. Like there's these other wounds and around her neck. There's like, yeah, there were so many wounds to her face, it had to have a whole page to itself. But yeah, not on the diagram, yeah, just her body. There's the ones that are to show the wounds on her body. And Patricia Crumwinkle complained she'd hurt her hands when she hit bone, and you can see there's big wounds on the back of Abigail Folger's head. So I wonder if that's when Patricia Crumwinkle's hit the bone. And weirdly, this article turned up in the Daily Mail that Charles Watson sent a letter to Wikipedia saying he wanted things corrected. And one of the weird things he said was he wanted it put on there that Patricia Crumwinkle killed Abigail Folger and he just assisted her. So, yeah, that was a weird thing. The Daily Mail isn't a very reliable source, though. But yeah, this was apparently a letter that he sent to Wikipedia. Yeah, that's it. Well, they didn't want his toxicology screen coming out, did they? Because he was on fucking everything. He was a really small guy, though. He was supposed to be a martial arts enthusiast, but he doesn't look very fit as well. If you look at the pictures of him on the side, he doesn't look like he was actually very fit anymore. He was quite ill, I think. They don't talk about the state of his organs and that as well. I bet his organs were a fucking mess from all the alcohol and speed he was doing and cocaine. Sorry, just the chat. Yeah, the other thing about Sharon's autopsy report, she was taken to a completely different place, I think, as well. But that could just be because they didn't have room at the morgue. You know, the morgues were filling up or whatever. I think they all went to different places. Or yeah, it's weird. And I don't think that we see all of it. You know what I mean? I think we only see what they want released. But these are actually inquest reports. That's what they are. You know. That wound on Abigail Folger's face, it's horrible, isn't it? Yeah. I know he's supposed to have known Bruce Lee, yeah, and learned some moves from him, isn't he? Yeah, I heard that as well. She was buried, yeah, with the baby. And yeah, they would have done a C-section. Apparently, her father saw the baby as well. He did, yeah. There is a weird picture of him in there where he looks like he's supposed to be doing a silly grin, but he just looks really, really manic. And they've got their faces squeezed together. It's a really weird photo. Oh, thanks. Mike, I don't know if Mike knows how to do it. Should have the mods train better. Can someone share my buy me a coffee link in the chat? You can get to it from the channel page as well. Yeah, if you just go to the channel page, there's a logo for it. Thanks if you do. I am really skint this month because I just started a new job, so I didn't get and I get paid monthly, so I didn't get a full month's wages. Yeah, I need a co-host. If anyone is interested. Because you don't have to be on camera as well. You can just have an avatar, can't you? Yeah, and I've been looking at the Acid King as well. That's an interesting case. It's really sad. And again, brings up points about the Manson case. Because if this had been tried for what it really was, like a drug crime, and it had been taken into account that they all had drug psychosis or whatever, then it would have been very different. Because that Jimmy Troiano, or however you pronounce his surname, he walked, didn't he, in the end? Because basically, yeah, no one could remember reliably what had actually happened, and Ricky Casso had killed himself, hadn't he? So yeah, in the end, people just walked. There's only there's not that many wounds to him. Only that the knife went right through his throat and was still stuck in his throat. I think they probably couldn't pull it out. Horrible. Let's see, I've got the slides of that actually. Let's see. Am I right? Yeah. So I think he actually just bled. Oh yeah, no. Well, obviously, yeah. There's where they carved war into him, isn't there? Hmm. The main wound, yeah, because the knife was still in his neck when they took the pillowcase off his head, apparently, and I think he must have struggled against the bindings because his wrists were cut. There's a photo of his wrist that you can find that's really awful. Yeah, it looks horrible. He wasn't tied up gently. People suggest that they went in and were more gentle with them, but this was more brutal, if anything, than Cielo Drive. Horrible. Mm-hmm. Oh, you bought one. Thank you, Johnny. Thanks. Hmm. Yeah, and the wounds, if you look at the pictures of him, the wounds that are lower down look like they were done after he was dead. He wasn't bleeding from them. It was all from all the blood was from the wounds in his neck. Like I say, yeah, I think they must have got the knife stuck. They must have not been able to pull the knife out. So that must have been a harrowing scene where they trying to pull the knife out. Because at one point, Cranwinkle, because the only account we have is what Leslie says, and we don't know how accurate that really was. But at one point, Cranwinkle leaves the bedroom, and Leslie's alone with Rosemary. So what was Cranwinkle doing then? Was she in there helping Tex with Lino, or what? Who knows? We'll never know probably because they're not going to talk. Hmm. No, I don't think his palms were cut. It was just it's to his wrist. The injuries are like mainly to his wrist. So I think because he must have lived for quite because he would have bled out quite slowly because they couldn't pull the knife out. So I think he was really struggling against the bindings because trying to get the knife out of his neck. Horrible way to die. And I noticed as well they had put a pillow over him. So I wonder if they were trying to suffocate him to put him out of his misery because he was still making noises. Horrible. Hmm. Hmm. That's it as well. It's sort of it's suggested in it that she only started freaking out when she heard Lino, being attacked, and that's when they suddenly turned on her. Yeah, and she was just going to give them dresses or whatever, wasn't she? But it sounds like she knew they were being robbed, from what Leslie tells us. she was saying, "I'll give you anything" and all that sort of thing. We'll give you anything, and was showing him all the dresses, and the dresses were probably worth a lot of money. 'Cause she had a boutique. Yeah, I've always wondered this. Like, why did he not provide a getaway vehicle for them? At least it's weird, isn't it? That he expected them to hitchhike back after doing that. Hmm. That's it. They do seem very personal, don't they? Yeah, it does seem like they didn't go and just pick random people. But it is kind of hard to work out why they targeted the LaBiancas. There's got to be stuff that we just don't know about. You know what I mean? That we'll never know about. And the knife was right through his neck, though, so I don't know if they could get it around his neck. Yeah, well, the way if you sort of look at who got the worst wounds, it's definitely Abigail and Frykowski, isn't it? Which and Jay's face was really badly beat, so it was them they was after. And I don't think they wanted to kill Sharon. I think they were just scared, and she was a witness, and that was probably why they. I don't think she was actually a target, though. Lots of people think she was the target, but I don't think that she was. I think they genuinely did think that she wasn't going to be there for some reason, and it was actually Frykowski. And because it's weird, a lot of people say it's weird that Doyle had vowed to kill Folger and Frykowski. You'd think that it would be Sebring and Frykowski because it was them that drugged him and tied him up and all that, and are supposed to have raped him. Well, Frykowski's supposed to have, isn't he? But he said apparently Billy Doyle was vowing to kill Folger and Frykowski. And so people speculate, did Billy Doyle hire them? But I always think, why would he use these kids? He could have hired someone better, surely. Because he went to Jamaica, didn't he? So he had a motive, alibi, should I say. There's a thing about Stephen Parent now, though, because Moore's no, I know, well, no, so I didn't know that about his history of. Well, he burgled schools and he liked audio equipment. I wonder now if Stephen Parent was involved somehow, and he thought they were just going to be robbing them and not hurt them. And when he realised that they were going to kill them, he tried to run. I wonder if Parent and Garrettson were actually in on it. But we'll never know, will we? Really, no one's ever going to spill. Mm-hmm. Well, there's evidence he existed, isn't there? I don't know though whether he was really a CIA agent or who he worked for and what exactly he was. But it's weird, yeah. He knew a lot of people and was present at a lot of things, and he knew about the murders at CLA Drive before anyone else was supposed to, because he rang the photographer, didn't he, in the morning before it was announced to the public that the murders had happened. But he seemed to know. Yeah, that's another theory, isn't it? That he was hired by Folger's dad because he was trying to find out what she was doing, and it's probably Folger's dad that's responsible for it all being kept out of the press as well. He probably paid for that. Hmm. Yeah, that's it. And you have to be really, really violent to stab someone as well. Using a gun is actually considered less violent because there's no physical contact. You stand quite far away, or you can stand quite far away, can't you? Unless you're shooting someone point blank. But actually stabbing someone is more violent, and they stab repeatedly as well. A lot of people couldn't stab that many times. That's the thing, and so I used to think that a lot of that there was more than one of them doing it. But with Frykowski, a lot of it really does seem to have just been text as well, doesn't it? Hmm. He was in court as well, was he? Apparently, I never knew that. It's bad. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. No, so I don't think. Well, a lot of people think that they never really split up, and that I've heard a lot of people say that, and there's a lot of people who think that the baby was Jay's as well. Who knows though? We'll never know. Oh, no, hanging. Sorry, no, you meant yeah, because that's it. And I've heard in the Manson file, apparently Nicholas Schreck heard from the sources he can't name that they were trying to hang them. They were trying to leave them hanging, but Jay Sebrings made a noise or moved or something, so they thought he was still alive, and they freaked out and they dropped them and they shot Jay Sebring again. And then they gave up on hanging them, and so they were just lying on the ground when the police got there. Yeah, I've got to look. So we'll do a William Garretson stream because that's interesting. Because he talks about people beforehand as well being around, and they told him not to go back up there. And the people don't sound like anyone from the Manson family, and surely he would have recognised them later, at least if they were. It's really bizarre. Sort of plays to Capone's theory that there was different teams of people, that there was more people involved than just the Manson family, and the Silo Drive murders. Because these people were in a van as well. But yeah, well, like I say, I'll do a stream about Garretson because that'll be interesting. Hmm. Yeah, but it's actually quite rare for people to stab more than once. But like, you have to be extra, you have to have a really, really violent streak to frantically stab someone like that. But yeah, in a really vicious knife fight, you just stab as many times as you can, don't you? But if you look at the way most murders happen, people do. It's considered violent to stab more than once. You know what I mean? Well, more violent to stab more than once. So to do it, as many times as these people did, fucking hell, they'd really lost it. They'd gone totally crazy. I think speed is probably to blame to a big extent for their violence as well. It does seem weird. I don't think the girls were physically capable of doing a lot of what was done, you know what I mean? I definitely don't think Susan did half as much as she said she did. I think she probably just was useless. And I think Linda maybe did a bit more than it said that she did. But Crumwinkle, I can believe that she. But I want to know what the hell she had against Abigail Folger. Why were they so pissed off with Abigail Folger? I think she refused to give them money. I think they went up there and they asked her for more money, and she refused to give them money because of the burning Crowe thing. People weren't supporting Charlie anymore, basically, and I think they got offended by that and they freaked out. Or she probably said something nasty about them. Tex went to the Canadians because he heard what happened to Doyle. You wanted to impress Linda. Yeah, well, I think that part of it was trying to impress Linda as well. People seem to go nuts over Linda. Because that bloke he met her out in the desert, the Yana the Witch guy, he said he sounds like he fell in love with her. So there was something about her. Men liked her. Yeah, that's it. Sebring was saying he wanted to kill the people that had burned him as well, didn't he? And there was that thing about the houseboy stealing money from Harrigan and Doyle in the police report as well. It's a strange situation. There was supposed to be an international drug smuggling ring that they never seem to have caught. Doyle wouldn't think the girls were going. Maybe Tex and Parent got Garretson to go on because he was there. I think he's autistic. Yeah, that's it. Well, it was a pretty crappy gun. They probably had access to a better gun, yeah, so I wonder about that. I don't think they actually were supposed to kill them. I think that stuff went wrong. I think they went out there to try and rob them, but they fought back or whatever. It went wrong. It went horribly wrong. Or they said something to them that offended them, that drove them nuts, and they went nuts on them. Whatever, we'll never know exactly what happened. They obviously got very, very frenzied, didn't it? So I think that, yeah, someone must have said something. I think it was probably. And the way they attacked Folger, it was definitely Frykowski and Folger they were after, and Sebring, wasn't it? Hmm. Yeah, to be Gary, he was the one who was most precisely killed. They did stab him, yeah, directly in the heart. But most of them were stabbed in the heart in the end, weren't they? If you look at the autopsy reports, the fatal wound was always one right to the heart. So it's like in the end they were stabbed in the heart. So people theorise, yeah, that Tex was coming over at the end and finishing them. Well, Rosemary LaBianca was stabbed in the spine. That's horrible. Yeah, he stabbed her in the back of the neck. Looks like she was probably trying to crawl out of the room. It's horrible, yeah. And he stabbed her in the back, yeah. Frykowski and Sebring were up to a lot of weird shit, weren't they? You know, so it's in Mama Cass's biography as well that they had a penchant, Sebring and Frykowski, for picking up young men off the Hollywood Strip and drugging them and filming them. So like, they were doing some weird stuff, weren't they? I think they were freaking people out. And apparently John Phillips refused to let Frykowski in the end, didn't he? Shortly beforehand. So they were like getting, close to it. Yeah, and Bobby as well. Susan wanted a lawyer for Bobby so that she could hopefully stop him snitching on her, I think. Yeah, he was in the Navy, wasn't he? And his real name was Thomas Comer. And he, was a drug dealer from an early age as well. It's like, it's really weird how it's really difficult to prove that. There's only anecdotal evidence of that. But everyone that knew him, there's loads of references to it in people's biographies and shit like that he was a cocaine dealer. But that never comes up in reference to his murder. I've got to watch that Cutting to the Truth. Do they even mention it in that? Yeah, that's it. What he called the night, didn't he, of CO Drive? So that was the theory in it. Yeah, that it was to free Bobby that they did it. That's the other motive they might have had. I think it was a bit of both. There was more than one motive. And I believe to some of them. I think Leslie really believed in the Helter Skelter thing as well, if you listen to her. I think they all had their own motives, really. Yeah, there's also rumours that Kremwinkle was in the pool as well. Yeah, that will never show up, will it? Stuff like that has been destroyed if it ever fucking existed. Yeah, that's it. Linda said it. But when did Linda show up? Yeah, she had showed up by then, hadn't she? By July the 27th. Didn't she show up? Yeah, she showed up the day after Bernard Crowe, didn't she? The 2nd of July. I think. So yeah, good, because they write pig on the wall in his murder, don't they? Yeah, piggy, political piggy, they write, don't they? Yeah, I've just been listening to the audio of those tapes of her interviews with her lawyer. I tried to clean up the audio. It's really weird. I think he must have used an old tape, and you're hearing like bits of the other tape coming through on the other side. You get this really weird like poltergeist effect, where you're hearing what was on the other side of the tape coming through backwards and shit like that. That's why it's so hard to listen to. I had to turn up the compression load so you can hear her, because it's really hard to hear her. She was obviously sat far away from the tape recorder, and he's talking really quietly. I've uploaded it to archive.org now with the cleaned up sound. If anyone wants to listen to it, I'll post it in my group. I should share it in my group. Let's check. Yeah, I've been going after over an hour now, so I can stop. But yeah, next week I'll probably do a stream about Leslie, about the book I just read, because that was an update I wanted to give on that, was finding out stuff about her other trials. And this is the most I've ever been able to find about her other trials. It's not the transcripts, but yeah. And I don't think Kasabian ever went along to that, did she? We'd know about it if she had. They wouldn't cover that up. But yeah, the word, they didn't use that word until Linda showed up. And I think it was to do with his political uh, stuff as well, wasn't it? They were probably trying to make it look like it was to do with his political activity or whatever, weren't they? You know, Sharon's dad gave him money as well, didn't she? Didn't he? He invested money in his bloody hair product business or whatever. So he probably wanted to know what happened to his money as well. So he hired a private detective, didn't he? Yeah, that's it. What it was a common thing, wasn't it? And it is on the White Album as well. If they were listening to the White Album, they would have heard that song as well, wouldn't they? And it is, a weird coincidence they used the fork and knife in Lino LaBianca as well, in it, if not. So I think they were influenced by that song by the Beatles. Slightly. Not that it was a fucking motive, or they really read that much into the lyrics. But it was maybe what made it occur to them, innit, to do that. People wonder if they were cutting their faces, yeah, to make it look the same. But I think that was more personal than that, though. I think Abigail Folger must have said or did something that upset them. Yeah, this is the rumor in it, and people speculate that that's Krenwinkel for some reason. But it could have been anyone, couldn't it? And how do we even know it was one of the Manson girls? It's all just speculation, isn't it? And Garrettson as well. He could be talking a lot of shit. You know what I mean? He could just be. But I think he deliberately says crazy stuff so that people won't come for him. He makes himself sound crazy. Pulls a Charlie in that respect, sort of thing. And sorry, he doesn't know. Or did he not know who the bloody girl was? Probably didn't recognise her, did he? Who knows? Yeah, come on, be nice to each other. Calm down. You go to an after show anyway. Now we've been going for over an hour. So yeah, I'll end this one now. Yeah, next week I'll plan that. I'll do the Leslie stream and I'll read out. There's like a chapter in it from her book that tells you about her other trials. And it's the most I've ever read. But it talks about the defences that were used in that. Yeah, well, that's what makes me think the stereo that Stephen Parent might have been involved somehow because he did. He had probation for burgling a school to steal audio equipment because he liked to take stereos apart to see how they worked. He was an audio whiz kid. Hello, Danny. There's actually you tonight, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I was just about to go to an after show anyway. Because, yeah, don't know about all this, but yeah, I was gonna, like I say, next week I'll probably do the Leslie thing, an update on the Leslie thing, because that was the one thing I couldn't find was information about her other trials, and it at least tells you what the defence used was. It's not like transcripts, obviously. It's just a summary by this writer, but she was actually there and watched it all, and she was very, very friendly with Leslie. Visited her a lot over many years. It is an interesting book. It's worth reading, and it's on archive.org. Oh, if you only just turned up, loads of people just turned up. Don't worry, it will be up later. Well, by tomorrow evening. Because, yeah, I have to edit them down. You know, Tex had stayed there, hadn't he? Tex had stayed at the guest house. That's another thing that they don't want you to know, isn't it? How familiar Tex was. And that Tex was at Dennis Wilson's before Charles Manson as well. That's another mystery, isn't it? There is a rumor that they did get away with cocaine and that it's out somewhere buried in the desert, and no one knows where it is. No one knows what happened to it. But the other thing is that there was a shipment of drugs meant to turn up, or people were meant to turn up with drugs, but it actually hadn't. Yeah, and the Paul Boy Matthew thing as well. Yeah, this is what connects everyone to what's it? Jarrettson, and yeah, well, Stephen Parent thought that he was, because there's supposed to be rumors they were gay, aren't there, as well. And there was a lot of it about the gay for pay stuff, the male prostitution thing. Yeah, maybe Parrot was bringing the drugs. Who knows? Not just a clock radio. That was just a red herring. Oh no, that picture of the trunks that I've seen that. I don't think that it is. I think that's an engine box. I think that's you know just an engine box. It just is the way the light catches it makes it look similar to the trunk. I think that's a metal box for keeping motorbike parks, and I don't think it is one of the trunks. And also, the drugs in the trunks were probably speed pills as well. Is more likely because it was easier to get them in the UK, and all the actresses wanted them. So it's just another sideline for Roman Polanski to fund his films or lifestyle or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'll end this one now, and I'll come back in 5 minutes. I'm gonna go make myself another cup of tea, and I'll see you. Yeah, in 5 minutes. If you want to hang around for the after show. Thanks for coming, everyone. Yeah, like I said, next week I'll talk about Leslie. And yeah, this stream will be up on playback by tomorrow evening after I've edited it. Right. So yeah, good night, everyone. And I'll see you in a minute if you're going to hang around for the after show.